would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, biobiologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
This episode of Healthy Home Hacks is brought to you by Super Teeth. Do you struggle with cavities and bleeding gums? Ew, do you want to achieve optimal oral health without using toxic ingredients like fluoride? Super Teeth Dental Probiotic is a probiotic formulated specifically for your mouth with beneficial bacteria strains that help fight cavities and gum disease naturally. Add it to your oral care routine by savoring 1 to 2 delicious probiotic mints a day after brushing and flossing. Visit getsuperteeth.com to learn more and use code RonandLisa10 to save 10%.
Before you heal someone, ask him if he's willing to give up the things that make him sick. Hippocrates. Someone who understands this philosophy is our guest today. She is a world-renowned naturopathic physician, a published author, entrepreneur, mother, researcher, formulator, and television personality. Dr. Gina Nick is also a certified yoga instructor and is based right here in our neck of the woods in sunny Newport Beach, California. Yes,
Dr. Gina Nick is the founder of Apothicaire by Dr. Gina, a new supplement company that's all about something you may or may not be familiar with, glutathione. She is a leading authority for the treatment of autoimmune diseases, inflammation, addiction recovery, depression, anxiety, fatigue, weight gain, and sexual dysfunction. Friends, if you're suffering from any of these, please stay tuned for the whole episode because we're diving deep into these issues that are plaguing Americans today. At the ripe age of 23, when most of us were seeking the nearest happy hour, Dr. Gina was seeking her healthy power by graduating medical school and going on to become the first director of research for the world's top supplement company. Today, she's the executive healthcare consultant to local and government agencies, president emeritus of the California Naturopathic Doctors Association, and founder and director of HealthBridge in Newport Beach, where she earned Top Medical Practice 2017.
Dr. Gina believes that the practice of effectively and safely cleansing toxins from the body is a key to health and longevity, a secret, so to speak, that has been well kept. And she is here today to share some of her secrets with us. Welcome to the show, Dr. Gina.
Woo-hoo, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Hi.
Hi. We're so happy to have you and meet our fellow Orange County health guru.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Gina, I want to dive right in. I know we're going to cover a lot of ground today and people are chomping at the bit to hear this information. So I know you just published your 4th book called The Power of Glutathione. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
But first, what inspired you to write this book?
So Lisa, this has been kind of a passion project for probably the past 4 years. I started lecturing on glutathione to physicians and pharmacists, and I was at these medical conferences and I would ask doctors, hey, how many of you in the audience use glutathione in your practice? And maybe 15% of the audience would raise their hands roughly. I'm like, wow, how do more people not know about this? I've been using glutathione since I started practicing.
Wow.
And so I've been involved with this for a long time. And I felt like it was time to come out with glutathione products that are effective, clinically researched, that actually work, and get a book out there that is simple, easy to read, have a very analytic mind. So this is like a really simple, easy read, not a lot of technical jargon because it's not necessary. It's very straightforward and it's essential to health. Glutathione is considered the master antioxidant in the body.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
A master.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to take some after this.
It's the mother of all antioxidants, truly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so my goal is to really make glutathione a household name, just like vitamin C. And actually, vitamin C and glutathione work together. So it's just an incredibly powerful thing. And I really wanted to have a book out there that was just easy to read and understand and gave you the facts about this amazing antioxidant.
I like that it's focusing on just one thing, because I think sometimes people try to put everything in the kitchen sink in a book and it can get overwhelming. So just focusing on this one.
So Dr. Gina, glutathione seems like a buzzword these days. What is it and how do you use a glutathione in your practice? So for example, how can someone listening benefit from this?
Yeah, so glutathione is such a foundational ingredient. It's used in a lot of different systems in your body. It's essential for detoxification. It's essential for regulating inflammation in your body. It's essential for immune function. It crosses what's called the blood-brain barrier, so it lowers inflammation in the brain as well. I use it a lot in my practice for addiction. Actually, the way I originally got into using glutathione in my practice was one of my first patients ever. I had a little practice, and one of the first patients that came in, he had a major addiction problem. And he told me, of all of the things that I'm using, glutathione injections seem to be the most effective. And I thought, I learned about it in medical school. I kind of know what it is. But that really started me on the path of a light turned on for me. Like, okay, this is something to take note of. And so I just started using it more and more in practice and seeing amazing results. I see amazing results for everything from treating migraine headaches, definitely lowering inflammation. So people who have like chronic inflammatory conditions, it can work so well to lower inflammation, treat pain. It sounds like this is good for everything.
Yeah.
But it is kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
You can test for it to see what your levels are.
Gosh. Now, is that an extra test? Would you have to ask your doctor?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah. There's a couple ways to test. So one of them is a blood test for glutathione. It's a little bit questionable in terms of its efficacy and accuracy. I'll still do it sometimes. And then there's another test where you measure what's called pyroglutamate wasting. And that's part of something
that rolls
called
off
the
nicely, huh?
Yeah, that rolls off your tongue nicely.
Well, because it's like, I say it every day.
Yeah.
But there's Genova Diagnostics has a test called the ION test that I've been using for 20 years. And they measure pyroglutamate wasting. And that's a way to see how much your body is using the glutathione that you have, to see if you need more. So oftentimes these things that your body naturally makes, you think, why would I take a supplement for it? I've got it in my body. I don't need more. Well, when there's an increased demand on your body from, and you guys know this well, exposure to toxins, etc., or you're faced with a chronic illness, you're fighting an infection, things like that, cause an increased demand for glutathione. And so that's when you need to supplement with it. So it helps with hormone balance. Most of my women, if I have them on any sort of hormone balancing therapy, I'll often recommend glutathione. So there's a lot of different applications for it because it's, like I said, it's so foundational.
I didn't even know. I mean, honestly, I don't think I ever even heard of glutathione until just a couple of years ago. And so that's really interesting. Are there specific symptoms that would show that someone was low in it or their body wasn't producing enough of it? I mean, inflammation, would that be a symptom that you didn't have enough?
Well, there's so many, glutathione is essential to so many different functions in the body that it's hard to say. That would be like saying, everybody has candida.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have candida. Yes, you have low energy, you're having trouble with sugar, etc. But yeah, a lot of the symptoms you would have if you had an overexposure to toxins are symptoms that may indicate you need glutathione.
I see.
So if you're needing a detox, very likely you're needing glutathione.
Okay. Now, if you don't need a detox, can you overdo glutathione? Is it something that you could still take just to boost your energy or no?
So I recommend it daily at a lower dose. Absolutely. Like I recommend daily consumption of glutathione to support overall health and well-being.
Really?
It's kind of like vitamin C. Like who doesn't need some vitamin C? Being that it is the mother of all antioxidants, and we are exposed to so many more free radicals or toxins than we've ever been exposed to before. The level of stress that we face every day, that creates toxins that need to be addressed. And so I recommend daily use.
Daily use. Okay. So you can't really overdo it at a low level.
Yeah. I mean, you could take too much for too long. but just kind of a daily dose, it's actually extremely safe.
Oh, okay.
And you had my attention at inflammation, right? So I used to suffer from gout pretty bad. It was inherited, basically. It was basically this condition my family has had. And would that affect inflammation from gout too, or what would be the parameters around that?
So gout is tied to the development of uric acid crystals. And so glutathione will lower inflammation like systemically in your body, but it's not the first treatment I would turn to for gout. Does that make sense? So I would probably incorporate it into a protocol.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be like the first thing to take.
Yeah, I was curious because we've actually had a few discussions and mentioned this in the podcast in the past, and I wasn't sure if there was a tie-in to that. So thank you for that clarification. Getting rid of any sort of inflammation is helpful.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, we got an inflammation pandemic going on. So, Dr. Gina, how would I or anyone listening know which glutathione to select? Or more specifically, how do we know how to select the best nutritional supplements? There's so many options these days. It can be overwhelming and so confusing to know which ones are the best.
Yeah, especially these days, because it seems that everybody's interested in taking some sort of nutritional supplement. Who do you know that's not taking something or interested in
someone in my
something
family should be, but they're not my wife, but someone else listening. So we talk about that later.
And so,
I don't know who this is. I think I know.
I'm not going to touch that.
Why are we bagging on the family members now?
Well, I felt compelled. There we go. I was inspired. There you go, Dr. Gina. There you go. Everyone should be, yes.
I've got a family member just like that, but she is now, I will tell you, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to embarrass her, but she'll know. She will tell you she didn't take anything. I've recommended things to her for years, but glutathione, she takes religiously because she notices the difference. She's 78 years old and this woman won't take any supplements. She doesn't see the value, she has a healthy diet, etc., no matter what. And so glutathione, she takes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You got through to her on that one, at least.
Well, I think glutathione got through to her.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are so many glutathione supplements on the market. There's so many supplements on the market. With glutathione, look for the ingredient that is clinically researched to actually boost blood levels of glutathione. So glutathione it's tough to keep it stable. So a lot of the products out there, I won't touch because they're not effective. And so I will only use glutathione. It's a patented ingredient that has a wealth of research backing its use because it actually boosts blood levels. And so that's really important. And so the raw material I like is called Cetria. So you can look for it. There's a lot of manufacturers out there, but make sure you look for that raw material, Cetria.
Cetria, okay.
Cetria, yeah. And that's the only type of glutathione that I use in my product formulations with Apothicaire. I won't use any other form of glutathione.
Okay. How do you say that again? Cetria?
Cetria, Cetria.
Oh, okay. And do you sell the glutathione alone or is it part of a nutritional supplement in your line?
So in my product line, I combine it with vitamin C. There is research that shows that combining it with vitamin C actually improves the efficacy of the glutathione. It's a very specific dosage that I use, but it is a formulation to effectively boost blood levels of glutathione long term.
Listeners, I will have all the links to this in the show notes to that specific supplement, but also your store, Apothicaire by Dr. Gina, and your website and all of that. So,
yeah. And then in terms of selecting nutritional supplements, a couple things, and we can't go into too much detail, but look for supplements that cater or supplement manufacturers that cater to healthcare practitioners. I always say that because healthcare practitioners in general who are actually using supplements in their practice are far more discerning about what they're using. And they're picky. It's like when I go and talk to my own colleagues at conferences, I mean, that's the hardest. Like talking to a group of naturopathic physicians, you have to be on your toes,
right?
Because they know a lot.
Yeah.
And so we're really, really picky about what we use. And so that's always just an easy look for manufacturers that cater to doctors, healthcare practitioners, because in general, And then always I like branded ingredients. If a company has taken the time to patent and brand a particular ingredient, oftentimes they've invested in the research that backs the use of that ingredient. And so it's another way to kind of pick and choose which supplements you end up using. I'll give you an example. When I was formulating a product when I was director of research a supplement company, I was looking at a theanine product. Theanine helps to keep you calm. It increases alpha brainwave activity, and kind of keeps you focused. And I wanted to use a product that was all the research was backing, but it was 5 times the price of the raw material coming from China. And I had to go back and forth with the finance guy, and they're like, oh no, here, Dr. Gina's creating another expensive formula. Well, that formula has been on the market now for 20 years.
Wow.
And is extremely effective. And what we found was that research ingredient actually proved to be far more efficacious than the generic coming from China. And that data eventually came out. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
So sometimes paying a little more to get the quality ingredients.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
Your body. It's your
body. Well, it's that saying, pay the farmer now or pay the doctor later. I think we could agree. This goes with when we hear people who say, oh, organic food's too expensive. Why would I need an organic mattress? Why do I need an air purifier? Why do I need a water purifier? Because you're going to pay a little now, or you're going to pay a boatload later, not just in money, but energy, time, health.
Yes.
Yeah. So getting that through to people is a little challenging sometimes. And it's self-care, it's self-love to invest in yourself. You're spending money on things. You can say, oh, it's too expensive. You're getting your lattes, you're getting your iPhones, you're getting, you're finding ways to get the things that matter to you. When you prioritize your self-care and your health, you'll find the way to get those things as well.
I love those tips you just had. I'm curious though, like what is personalized nutrition? I heard you mention this before, personalized nutrition.
I love personalized nutrition. So it basically means catering to the individual. So what my body needs is very different than what your body needs. So I shouldn't be taking the same multivitamin mineral necessarily that you are, or in the same dose.
Yeah.
I may need high doses of coenzyme Q10. I may need low doses of vitamin D3 and maybe like a lot of vitamin C. And so we are all different. There's something called biochemical individuality. We all have different nutrient needs based on our genetics, based on our lifestyle, based on our level of stress at the time. Our demands are different. So personalized nutrition usually involves testing. So I do like blood work and urine analysis to see what does your body actually need? Meaning, do you need certain amino acids or certain nutrients and at what dosage? And then I'll custom create a formula for my patients based on that. And so it's just a more personalized approach or individualized approach to optimizing health.
Right.
That's so interesting. Would you say most of it is basically lifestyle, or would you say 40% genetic? Well, what is that magic breakdown? Do you have an idea about that?
So that's a really great question, Ron, a really great question. And everybody has a different opinion about it. I feel that when it comes to nutrition, genetics play a very important role. What your ancestors were eating really impacts what is going to be best for you. It really does. And so genetics play an important role. However, when you're looking at overcoming a genetic predisposition, like say to heart disease or whatnot, we know that treating a micronutrient deficiency is more important than what a genetic predisposition is. Does that make sense? So treating nutritional deficiencies, and this has been known for several decades now, and I'm surprised it's not more popular, that the notion isn't more popular out there, but treating micronutrient deficiencies will oftentimes overpower a genetic predisposition and will turn off the disease promoting genes and turn on the disease preventing genes. And
wow,
so
that's powerful.
learning what micronutrients you need is like that next level.
Yeah.
It would be like the next level in really individualizing your care and giving your body what it needs. Nothing more and nothing less.
Nothing less. It's like Glinda the Good Witch. You've had the power all along, my dear. Because there's a famous quote, does genetic load the gun and environment pull the trigger? And obviously that's where we come in with our part too, is a holistic approach to your health, that your environment that you're spending 90% of your time in. What is that? Is that a healing space, or is it stress? Do you have the TV on all night? Are you watching negative news? Are you breathing toxic air? Right. So it's like this holistic way to kind of look at your whole life in a way that you probably weren't raised. But to what you said, Ron mentioned that he had a genetic disposition to gout. His brother had it. And Ron, now we're vegan. We've been vegan 6 years. And since Ron went full vegan, his gout virtually went away. He was on so much gout medication because nothing else was working, high level of L-purinol. And he started weaning himself off. I said, Ron, I think you could wean yourself off. And he did little by little by little because the diet got so good. Now he's like, never gets a gout attack. And it's pretty amazing, right? Like hobbling,
I'm
not being
excited
able to get
about
out of bed.
It's been a lot better, I'll tell you that. Just waking up and eating cleaner and feeling better. That's been a real key. So I was curious.
It was debilitating.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. And so it's like a positive side effect has been you have more energy, your hormones are more balanced, you're happier, you sleep better, and you don't have symptoms of gout. You know?
Right. That's right. Win.
It's always like, I always see lifestyle and diet as the most important thing. And then certain medications when you need them or surgery, et cetera, it's like the cherry on top that it makes it so everything works better. But you've got to have that foundation. And that's our responsibility. We are all responsible for our own health, ultimately.
Right. Yeah. That's shocking for some people to hear. Right? They're like, what? So going on to that point, Dr. Gina, what's your perspective on detoxification and chronic illness?
So I'm very passionate about detoxification. Every cell in your body has detoxification mechanisms. So that should say something right there.
Yeah.
The trillions of cells in your body are innately designed to detoxify on a second by second basis. It tells me the human detoxification system is an incredibly important system. And that system gets bogged down because of the amount of stress we're under and the toxins we're exposed to. We haven't evolved to the point where our detox mechanisms can keep up with the rate of exposure to toxins in our environment, period. And so there are ways to lower the burden, take some of that stress off of the detoxification system so it can do its job and get rid of stored toxins. And bottom line is you have more energy, you lower inflammation, your immune system improves, you're happier and you're healthier. And when those systems is bogged down, it causes disease. It's really that simple.
Yeah. I have a personal story. When I did get sick from toxins in my home, I stopped menstruating. And that was the doctors like, oh, just go on the pill because we don't know. They gave estrogen and all progesterone shots and everything trying to get it going. And nothing was working. So they said, well, you just need to be on birth control pill. That's the only thing that's going to make it happen. Well, that worked for a little while. And then that even stopped. And everyone was like, what is going on? They wanted to give me so many supplements. And it wasn't until I detoxed my liver, I found a really incredible Chinese liver detox herbal tincture that I was taking. And that was the thing. So it's kind of what you're talking about, the body burden. My body burden was so toxic that it didn't matter how many supplements I was taking, right? I needed to clean out that poor liver that was just so congested. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And I would have given you glutathione.
Oh, see.
For sure.
I would have had a way easier journey had I known you.
For liver detoxification, it works amazingly well.
Does it? Yeah. I'm going to get some.
Yeah.
A lot of people need that after the pandemic and the lockdowns. A lot of people have been drinking a lot of wine and they need some serious detox.
Yeah. Right. Everybody's just trying to cope.
Right. I mean, yeah. They're reaching for low-hanging fruits, right? Whether it's bad food or whatever. And it's sad, but we're going to get into that in a minute. But Dr. Gina, we have a caller. Are you open to taking a caller?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hello, RX. So welcome to the show. What is your question for Dr. Gina?
Hi, Dr. Gina. Hi, Lisa. I just wanted to pop in and tell you a little bit about my story with Dr. Gina. I was diagnosed about 12 years ago with a craniopharyngioma, which was a cyst on my pituitary stalk in my brain. I was told by all the local top neurosurgeons that I needed an immediate craniotomy to remove it. It pretty much freaked me out, and I thought to myself, cannot be. I'm only 38 years old. I'm not going to have half my brain removed. And I chose to search out other options. I was referred to Dr. Gina through a friend who had lots of success with her. And Dr. Gina not only approached me with tremendous positivity and immediately said to me that there's no way you need a craniotomy and we will shrink whatever it is you have. Within 6 months, my cyst stopped growing, and within 1 year, it shrunk. I was told by all of the doctors that there was no way I could shrink this cyst. And through Dr. Gina's personalized treatment, her focusing on exactly what my condition was, our monthly visits, nutrition plan, supplement plan, and a healthy lifestyle, I was able to not only shrink the cyst that the doctors told me was impossible to shrink. After 12 years, I am 100% cyst-free, and there's no way it can come back. So Dr. Gina has been truly a lifesaver for me, and proof is in the pudding. Here I am, alive and well, thanks to her. Thanks, Dr. Gina. I appreciate you so much.
Hi, RX. It's so nice to see you. So happy you got to work with me and we got to work together. And thank you so much for sharing your story so other people can just get a sense for what does it mean to work with a functional medicine doctor and what can they expect. So thank you. It's great to see you.
Thank you, RX. Thank you for sharing your story and for calling in. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
So Dr. Gina, it seems like so many people we speak with suffer from Hashimoto's thyroiditis these days, something I never heard of in the past. Do you have some tips on how to treat autoimmune diseases like these?
Yes. So Hashimoto's thyroiditis, it's an autoimmune disease. You can find out if you have it by doing a blood test, and it'll show that you have those levels. And if you have it, it's a rough go. You can have major mood swings and compromised immune function, and you can have energy and then have low energy. You have a lot of highs and lows. It's a really tough condition. And throughout time, patients have been told it's not treatable other than take thyroid medication, which thyroid medication certainly is part of the treatment. However, there are ways to reduce, if not eliminate, the markers in blood work that show that you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And so some of the ways, glutathione is a very important component here. And that I talk about Hashimoto's thyroiditis and glutathione in my book, The Power of Glutathione. And so it is a really important treatment for Hashimoto's. It'll lower inflammation and help with healing that autoimmune reaction, where it was like a mystery what you could do in the past. And so glutathione can be extremely powerful. Avoiding all gluten.
Okay,
and
gluten.
Also help.
I've heard
it's
that.
Funny.
Okay.
There's a chemical called TPO, thyroid peroxidase, in your blood that shows that you have Hashimoto's. Well, the gluten looks a lot like TPO, which is kind of odd. And so avoid gluten. And if you're religious about it, and I don't like to put people on really strict diets, but if you have Hashimoto's, avoid gluten entirely.
Okay.
And
we have a family member right now. Yeah, we have a family member who has this and is very frustrated. And I had mentioned the gluten because we had a guest on who talked about that. And he tried it for a while. And I think it's hard when you are eating a diet with a lot of gluten. I mean, I find it really easy because I don't think many things I eat even have gluten. It's basically bread. But we're trying to encourage, hey, just keep going. Pretty soon you won't miss bread. There's lots of gluten-free breads and,
there's so many alternatives now. It's the sky's the limit, really.
So many alternatives.
It's so much easier
now.
now.
To explain to our listeners, this Hashimoto's thyroiditis attacks your own body, right? It's your thyroid is attacking your own body, right? Is that what it is? Okay. So mood swings, fatigue, is fatigue one of the big signs? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Compromised immune function. You'll get sick more often. It's a real tough. A lot of women will get it after they've had a baby.
Oh,
all of a sudden it'll hit.
And probably think it's they probably think it's postpartum, right?
Postpartum.
Yeah.
Sometimes, go hand in hand with postpartum, as can low testosterone levels. But it can be tough for people to deal with, but there are ways to treat it. The proper form of thyroid medication is also really important. Sometimes using something like Armour Thyroid, if you've been on Synthroid, making that switch can sometimes improve. If you've been on the natural thyroid like Armour, switching to Synthroid for a short while also impact your symptoms and help to treat in a positive way.
So you're not against synthetic, I guess, whatever you want to call it, a thyroid medication. You're not against that fully. I
am for whatever is going to optimize somebody's health and well-being long-term. And so sometimes you have to operate in the gray area. Being a purist isn't always the way because we don't live in a pure world, so you have to adapt to our environment and do what's going to be best to promote healing.
Wow, that's really, I get a little caught in the extreme. I'm probably guilty of that. You can't do that. It's toxic or whatever. And realizing I'm curious, is one of the symptoms dry mouth?
Because this particular family member has dry mouth as well. I wonder if it's a connection.
It can cause dry mouth. It's not a classic symptom of Hashimoto's, but it can absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for validating that too.
Sometimes people who are on or have Hashimoto's will be on an antidepressant. Depressant could be what's also causing the dry mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I appreciate that. We are seeing soaring rates of mental illness and addiction today in teens and adults. It's actually staggering, as you know, Dr. Gina. In fact, we have a friend whose 15-year-old daughter is battling with this, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone, let alone a parent, but there is hope. How do you work with people with mental illness and addiction challenges?
So I'm a big believer in collaboration. So I have psychiatrists that I work with very closely. I'll often work with the patient's primary care physician as well, but I take a different approach. I will test the patient's hormones because you have hormone receptors in your brain. And if you've been addicted to a substance for a long time, oftentimes one of your hormone levels can be depleted. And so by providing a boost there, you can help to impact mood, make a patient feel better so that they are more able to break through this addiction cycle. That's number one. I also test the blood and the urine for all of the amino acids, which are the precursors to the manufacture of neurotransmitters, which are often very out of balance, and fatty acids. And then I do a whole panel testing minerals and vitamins. Glutathione wasting is also incredibly important. And then I test the gut microbiome. And I will treat those things in an effort to heal the body and get the body as balanced as possible, because I don't see mental illness as a head disease. I see it as a systemic condition that needs to be treated in a systemic way. I look at the patient's environment, in an environment that's going to be supportive for them actually breaking out of this, if that's what they are ready and want to do or have to do. And so it's kind of a multifactorial approach to actually getting to some of the root causes and root imbalances and treating accordingly. And that can be done with psychiatric medications, antidepressants, anxiolytics, whatever is needed to get them through to that next phase, and then making sure they have the support they need.
That is so interesting. I love how you said that it's a systematic disease. It's not just mental, because there's such a negative stigma and shame, I think, for people who suffer from that unnecessarily.
It's just like diabetes. You need insulin. So somebody with a mental illness, they're missing some things that they need. So find out what that is and give it to them so that they can heal.
Yeah. And I would definitely underline and underscore your point on the environment too, because I would say that goes with a lot of things. If you heal it, if you're helping a patient, you're healing them medically, and they're going into an environment that is so toxic and draining and making them feel depressed. It's kind of like it's a seesaw, right? The environment needs to be really healing. Ron and I are very into the power of sound with frequencies, sound frequencies. Sound frequencies to heal. Really everything, color therapy. We just did an interview on the psychology of color.
Yes.
It's not subjective. It's actually how your brain interprets colors, and that can change your mood. And, I can repeat this enough. Turn off the news. Turn off the news. You're not gonna feel good. You're not gonna feel good watching it. You just not. You gotta find these
podcasts instead. Do that instead.
Listen to Healthy Home Hacks.
Podcast.
Oh, nice.
At all times.
Thank you.
Go out in nature. All time. Go out in nature.
Be out in nature. Listening to the sounds of nature for 2 hours a day will regulate your cortisol, that's stress hormone, by up to 80%.
Wow.
So there's no drug, there's no herb, there's nothing that will help you manage that stress response, which is central to everything else going on in your body.
That's
Managing
fantastic.
That stress response is essential to immune function, inflammation, detoxification, healing on all levels. Speaking of light, I was just at Mojo Cryo in Newport Beach, where they have something called the Novathor bed, which is a red light bed. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm very big, and they have the pulsed electromagnetic frequency mat, the beamer mat. Yeah. And then cryotherapy. And so there's so many
put that in the note.
Technologies and tools out there. Yeah. You guys should go. Definitely.
Mojo Cryo. Okay.
Mojo
so you
Cryo.
do cryo? Do you do cryotherapy?
Oh yeah, I do that very regularly.
You do?
Novathor. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've done that a few times. That is no joke. You really have to be tough to stand.
Oh, you got to be tough. Dr. Gina is no wimp.
But in terms of like, when you're talking about treating chronic conditions like mental illness and autoimmune conditions and all of that, there are a lot of resources out there, including things like that make a huge difference in healing the body and improving mood. It's pretty amazing. So,
yeah. You're going to feel good when you get out of cryotherapy because you're just going to be so excited you survived.
You need to do it.
I've done it.
Ron did.
Euphoric.
I watched Ron.
Euphoric. Yeah.
I was freezing. Freezing watching you. I was like, I'm so cold just watching you. This looks crazy. I know you probably have to build up. I can't even do that cold plunge at the pool. Well, you know, at the spas, how they have the cold plunge. Yeah, I can't even do that. Such a wimp with cold.
Try it because you'll feel amazing.
I know.
Sometimes you can get in the bed first, like the Novaflor bed, and then you're nice and warm. And then get in the cryo. It's not really the way you're supposed to do it, but
that sounds amazing. Well, you're bringing to a point of really, because you're obviously, you live, breathe, and eat and sleep health. You're a healthy doctor, and you're doing all these proactive things. And I think that's a really good point to make for everybody listening. Just because you are healthy, you're healthy right now, or you think you're healthy, does not mean that you slack off. You still have to take those proactive measures, because the minute you let the reins go, that's when the body gets out of whack and disease can start again or anything like that. Because a lot of people will say like, oh, Lisa, you don't need to eat so healthy. I'm like, well, but that's because I do eat. You're saying that because I do eat healthy, right?
Right.
What came first, chicken or the egg, right? Okay, so well, Dr. Gina, what is your background with nutritional supplements? And can you give us an insider's look into the whole industry?
Yes, I can. I've been in the nutritional supplement industry for well over 20 years now. And I will tell you, there's a lot that goes into creating that bottle that you find on the shelf at Whole Foods or at Costco or at your doctor's office. There is a lot that goes into it. And there are supplement companies that are very passionate about quality and quality control. And there are other companies that their objective is the bottom line. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, guys. So you have to be very careful with what you're putting in your body, that it's actually going to help and not cause more harm. And so when I go to formulate products, I'm not everybody's best friend, because I ask a lot of questions in terms of, I want to know if I'm buying a raw material, what is the country of origin? I want to see the certificates of analysis to make sure that what is on the label is actually what's in the supplement.
Okay. So not to interrupt you, but we had 2 doctors on and early in the podcast that talked about the certificate of analysis. So is that like a must-have when you get a supplement? Yes. Okay. You've got to look for that.
Well, when you're formulating products, you have to have those, and you need to make sure that meant the company that you're buying the product from is maintaining those certificates of analysis that prove that raw material has what it's supposed to have in it. And here's what happens. Depending on what supplement company you're working with, let's say there's a new fancy raw material, like acai berry was so popular for a while, and it's a great thing, but you suddenly was in every supplement under the sun. So if there's a manufacturer somewhere in China, India, wherever, and they haven't gone through the quality control measures that are necessary, they will start trying to sell that raw material to different manufacturers, right? And depending on if that manufacturer takes that material and actually runs it through expensive testing to make sure that what is in that bag or on the label is actually in the bag. And then if it doesn't pass, they'll reject it, they'll send it back. Well, guess what happens then? That raw material is not thrown away.
Yeah, I was going to say.
To the next manufacturer.
All right. Discounted price?
until it ends up on a product that's sold on Amazon. I love Amazon. Nothing there, but until it's sold to the masses at fraction of the price. So I'm always telling patients, sometimes supplements can be really inexpensive. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Other times, don't make a decision just based on price, because you don't know what's in that supplement is that raw material that got rejected by the high quality companies, generally the ones that are catering to healthcare professionals.
Okay.
And it ended up in what you're taking.
So you basically said, look for the supplements that doctors are promoting, functional MDs specifically, maybe.
Yeah.
And what about the Costco brands, or you go to your local drugstore at, I won't say, CVS or Rite Aid. Would you avoid those in general? And what's the vitamin store? I forget the name of it, but that big GNC or whatever.
Vitamin
Shop. Would you say like kind of good rule of thumb is to steer clear from those?
In general, but if you are going to go to those stores, just look and make sure that there are branded ingredients in the formula. Make sure that it's CGMP certified. So that company follows the good manufacturing practices for the supplement industry.
That's a good tip.
So there are ways it's being produced in an FDA registered facility.
Okay. Oh,
so there are ways to look and see if what you're getting is something that is high quality. Just because it's a pretty label, and I love pretty labels and I love pretty packaging, but that does not mean that what you're going to be putting in your body matches what's on the outside.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it goes true for, we talk about this a lot on the show, whether it's your cleaning product or your personal care product, you're always looking for the third-party certifications to determine if something is what they say. Is it organic? Is it non-GMO? Is it vegan? Is it, like you said, FDA approved or through an FDA facility and all of that?
Ask your doctor what they take or what they recommend. Even if they don't sell products or whatever, hey, do you take supplements, or what do you recommend for your family or your patients? You know, how knowledgeable are you with regard to supplements?
Yeah, right. That's a great point. So we had Dr. Lee Erin Keneally on the show, episode 19 for listeners who want to go back and listen to that one. But remind our listeners what functional medicine is.
It's basically looking at ways to heal the basic functions within the body. You have these different systems in the body: your cardiovascular system, your digestive system, all of your neurological system, your nervous system, your endocrine system. And so it's looking at the underlying causes for imbalances in all of those systems and then treating those imbalances. So it's about finding the deficiencies, whether it's a hormonal deficiency, a nutrient deficiency, an imbalance in the gut microbiome, etc. It's testing for those things, identifying what they are, and then administering what the body needs so that all the systems are in balance and they're all working together. A lot of our work is focused on lowering inflammation.
Okay. Inflammation is there's
a lot of emphasis on lowering inflammation, because as you do that, the body tends to work better.
Yeah, right. Take out the stresses. So how long does it take to see results using this approach as compared to, say, the allopathic approach of using drugs and surgery?
Yeah. So sometimes with drugs and surgery, you can have a quick fix. You've got a headache, you take an extra strength Tylenol and the headache goes away. The problem is you're not suffering from a Tylenol deficiency, right?
Right.
It can take longer.
That's a good point.
I always tell patients, look, it might have taken you X number of years to get to this point. It's going to take a little time. I always say give it 6 months. When you're working with a functional medicine doctor, you should see cumulative benefits over time. First month of working together, you notice, oh, I'm sleeping better. I'm happier. My husband says I'm not as moody. The second month, you notice, oh, I have a ton more energy. Third month, you realize I'm really starting to operate at peak performance mentally and physically, and I'm wanting to run further or exercise more. And so I always say, like, there's a cumulative effect. And by that 6-month mark in general, you'll realize the benefits of this type of approach to health and healing.
Yeah, I love that.
Whereas with drugs and surgery, sometimes it can be chronic and take forever. And then other times you can have that quick fix.
Yeah. So functional medicine compared to Western medicine, would you say functional medicine treats the root? And like you said, the balances, whereas Western is more treating the symptom. Would you say that?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. There are some approaches with regard to functional medicine where it feels to me like all we're doing is treating symptoms. We're just using different things, herbs, things like that. Okay. And there are times with allopathic medicine where you truly are getting to the cause. If there's a tumor that needs to be removed, if you remove the tumor, you're removing a cause. And then you want to kind of see, well, why did the body create that tumor in the first place?
Address
and
the
go
most
down that path.
Okay.
But I don't really see it as us versus them, or because truly you need all of it. There's so much brilliance and expertise on both sides.
Okay. Like integrative, right? Integrative MD, integrative medicine. So you're combining Western, Eastern, all of that. Okay. That's great.
And having the ability to discern one from the other. What approach is going to be best at what time?
Okay. Dr. Gina, I feel like we can't talk about the gut enough. It's like we all woke up from a gut slumber and realized how important is it to our overall health. So what is the gut microbiome and why is it so important?
So you have a whole ecology in your gut. And throughout time, healers have said health begins in the gut. I would treat the gut first because there's this intimate connection between the gut and the rest of the body. Your gut is crucial for immune function. There's more serotonin, the feel-good hormone, secreted in your gut than in your brain.
Wow.
And so most people don't know that. But look, there's a whole ecology in there. And there's not just the gut microbiome. You've got microbiomes throughout your body. And from a kind of a macro perspective, you're looking at the environment. You want to help heal the environment. And when you do that, everything else works better. And that goes with even if you look at life, where you can focus on an individual, or an individual can focus on themselves. Me. It's all about me, right? We all know really it's not all about you. You know, it's about collaboration and working together for a greater good, right? So that everybody does better. Well, it's the same thing when looking at the microbiome. You have all of these microorganisms and you want them to be kind of in balance and working together to create an environment so that all the cells in your body can do their job. So cells are like the individuals, right? It's not just about cellular health. It's about the microbiome. The environment has to support what those cells need to do. And the cells need to support that microbiome. And so there's ways to test to see what is going on in your gut, whether you're too high of certain bacteria levels or too low. I can look and see, do you need acidophilus? Do you not? What probiotics do you need? Do you have a yeast overgrowth? Yes or no? Do you actually have candida or not?
Is that overdiagnosed? Would you say?
Okay. Oh my gosh.
It is.
Every patient that comes in, not every patient, but a lot of them, I think I have candida.
All these buzzwords.
Let's test to see.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's find out.
Yeah, but there's more and more research coming out that shows the power and the impact of having a healthy gut microbiome.
Oh, yeah.
It's really
and
important. Yeah.
It's good we're having conversations about the microbiome because people are now familiar with that term. And would you say that, the main culprit is the standard American diet, the SAD diet that's causing this imbalance in the gut and
Absolutely.
Stress? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would say the standard American diet, fast food, et cetera, and also just the quality of our food. Just the quality of our grains and the quality of our soil that's growing all of our foods has been compromised. And so that is showing up in our ecology, just like the soil looks different and the soil has its own microbiome.
Yes. We did a whole show on plants. We had the guy from Plant Jungle and he was talking about the microbiome of the plants and running around like, oh my God, I never knew. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting?
So same thing with our body.
Yeah. Same thing. So what would your advice be to listeners? What's something they could do right now to improve their diet? Something simple that everybody could do. Would you say like eliminate gluten, or would you say go organic or more plants? Or
my number one thing, if you're going to avoid one thing, there's so many things to avoid. But if you're going to avoid one thing, it's hydrogenated oil or trans fatty acids. It will either say hydrogenated oil, partially hydrogenated oil, or trans fatty acids.
Okay.
So those, in my opinion, are one of the most harmful ingredients that has come into our food system. And it's in a lot of our kids' packaged food because it extends shelf life a lot.
Oh, gotcha.
But
and
the
it's
shelf
cheap,
life of
probably.
a Twinkie is like 30 years.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't improve our child's shelf life.
Right.
And so trans fats will embed into your cell membrane. Your cells have membranes that are made of fat, embed in there, and they will actually harden and block cell-to-cell communication.
Oh my gosh. You really described that while I'm seeing this whole little like
you actually
cell.
scared me. It was like, it's not even Halloween, right?
Yeah. And
we got
true, though. That's the sad part. It's true. And it is scary. It's really disturbing that it's in so many of our kids' foods. And even sometimes I will see it in nutritional supplements marketed to kids. I will see hydrogenated oil. And so, or skin, you guys would be familiar with like skincare products. And oftentimes you'll see that. Even like healthy masks. Sometimes look at the ingredients and there will be hydrogenated
so-called
oil
healthy. Yeah. That term, that term's not regulated. So are the oils that are hydrogenated, are they the vegetable oils or are they, we know canola oil is a bad one, right? I mean, can you give us the oils that we need to avoid?
So in terms of oils, any type of oil can be a hydrogenated oil. It's the process of hydrogenation. So when you look at labels, look for hydrogenated oil, partially hydrogenated oil, or trans fats. And you want to avoid those entirely. Even if it says trace amounts, sometimes even if it says 0 milligrams on the label, it still can have some trans fats in it.
Wow.
If it has less than X amount, the manufacturer is allowed to put 0.
Oh, wow.
And so be real careful. Make sure when you look at the hydrogenated oil or trans fats on the label, it increases inflammation tremendously. Like I said, it hardens, it blocks cell-to-cell communication. And the thing is it's a kind of a pseudo fat. And so it gravitates to where fat normally goes, which is your cell membranes, and it will harden them.
Oh, wow.
And so I can't emphasize enough, parents out there, the teachers, etc. Our kids' developing brains do not need any trans fats. So even if it's a pretty package or it's something as yummy as a Twinkie, think twice before having a child or any adult consume that. So that would be the one ingredient that I'm very passionate about staying away from. Yeah. In terms of what to take, one thing I'd recommend would be cold pressed juice, green juices, like green vegetable juices. Like if there's one thing that you can kind of incorporate into your diet and lifestyle, that seems to have a major impact on health and well-being.
Okay. And then for oils, going back to oils, coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, are those all good? Yeah. Do you avoid canola oil?
Great. I don't use canola oil. I don't recommend it for anybody.
Yeah.
Because you have better, higher quality oils out there. So why use it?
Right.
But I also recommend testing at some point, testing the blood for the different omega-3, omega-6, omega-9 fatty acids and the saturated fats. So you know, is coconut a good oil for you? Is avocado oil a good oil
interesting.
for you? Do you only need flaxseed oil in terms of omegas? Or do you need a combination, like an Udo's oil blend that has omega-3, 6, and 9? So that can be real important and make a profound difference in your health and well-being if you know what fats are best for your body.
Oh my gosh, so interesting. I love this. This was so interesting. It's so important. And I love how you talk about, I don't know the term, catered nutrition. What was the actual term? Personalized. Personalized. Personalized is everything you said today was about how much we're all different. And until you go in there and test, you don't really know what's going on. And you're just kind of guessing at the store, buying this, buying that. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Invest in yourself. Dr. Gina, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure, Annalisa. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for you guys doing what you're doing. It's great. You're educating so many people and we need it. And I think more and more people are realizing how important what you're talking about is to their just happiness and health and success. So
thank you so much. Well, we will meet up in
person. Yeah, we'll do that soon.
Yeah, come on in.
Okay, well, we'll definitely come in.
I'd love to see you guys.
To learn more about Dr. Gina and her new book, visit drgina.com. That's drgina.com. And to shop her high-end proprietary nutritional kits, visit Apothicaire by drgina.com, where you can find trusted products. Guys, these make great Christmas gifts. And as we say, the best gift you can give is the gift of health. Friends, thank you for joining us today. Be sure to visit ronalisa.com/podcast for all of the links in the show notes. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, Dr. Gina. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.